Hello everyone, today I want to talk about the anti-China German Chancellor Merz, who suddenly called on his citizens to learn from the Chinese. In addition, the American magazine Foreign Affairs stated that the real Chinese model includes infrastructure, talent, and entrepreneurial spirit. It's not just about subsidies. Ever since the EU and the US signed the new Nanjing Treaty, Europe has been awakened, much like China in 1919 was by the decision on the Shandong issue at the Paris Peace Conference. Now, Europeans are all asking why Europe has become so weak. German Chancellor Merz, who used to be quite anti-China, has recently called on Germans to learn from China. Merz said, "Our German society has been accustomed to decades of freedom, peace and security, used to affluence and ever-increasing social welfare. The key question we face is whether our society is still willing and able to make truly fundamental adjustments so that our descendants can live as well tomorrow and in the future as our generation and the past decades have." He hopes that Germany's ruling party, the Christian Democratic Union, can participate in this discussion, not with heated arguments or confrontational attitudes, but with a calm, rational, and slightly emotional approach. To discuss Germany's future, Merz said that if anyone needs some real-life examples to truly understand this challenge, they should take the time to look at Asian countries, travel to Asia instead of the United States. He said, 10 years ago, I would have told everyone to go to the US, but not anymore. Today, I would say, go see Asian countries. Not just China, but many other countries in Asia. There, you will find incredible vitality, an unbelievable work ethic, and the ambition to become world leaders. Of course, this includes China. In China, students study 10 to 12 hours a day during their education, and then they enter the workforce with an incredible level of dedication. They don't talk about work-life balance, they talk about goals, about personal goals. There are social goals they want to achieve. If we pay more attention to these, then the challenge will be very clear. This is the biggest challenge we are facing in our time. Recently, the number of unemployed people in Germany has exceeded 3 million for the first time in 10 years. The German government's welfare expenditure for failed subsidies is heavy, and Meise has also begun to take action. On August 31st, the German government plans to impose stricter sanctions on those who receive citizen allowances, that is, unemployment benefits and social welfare benefits. This includes Ukrainians who remain in Germany but are unemployed. The government said that if the unemployed fail to attend consultations at the employment center, their citizen allowances and social welfare benefits will be immediately reduced by 30% instead of the current 10% reduction. For those who are able to work but have repeatedly refused to work, including those in the catering industry, their benefits will eventually be completely deprived. The Minister of Labour and Social Affairs, Baas, emphasized that the signal is very clear. The unemployed need to find a job, and this requires their cooperation. Otherwise, it would be unfair to those who get up and go to work every day. German Chancellor Merz said that the German government has been struggling for many years. If the social welfare system is not reformed, Germany will become an industrial museum. He emphasized that Germany is facing tough choices and the challenge of controlling spending. The German government is calling on Germans to learn from the Chinese and be diligent. China's global competitiveness has risen rapidly in recent years, but is it really just because the Chinese are hardworking? And what about success? The US Foreign Affairs Fund recently published an article exploring this issue in depth. The title of the article is The Real China Model, and the author is Dan, a researcher at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. Wang and Gao Biba, founder of the consulting firm Dragonboat Economics, analyzed the article as follows. 10 years ago, Beijing launched the ambitious Made in China 2025 plan, designed to guide future industrial development. The plan identified 10 investment areas, including energy, semiconductors, industrial automation, and high-tech materials. The goal was to elevate China's manufacturing capabilities in these and other sectors, reduce dependence on imports and foreign companies, and enhance the competitiveness of Chinese companies in the global market. The overall goal was to establish China as a technological leader and transform its national champions into global champions. 10 years later, these efforts have been remarkably successful. China not only leads the world in electric vehicles and clean energy generation, but also dominates drones, industrial automation, and other electronic products. Chinese companies are gradually surpassing the United States, Europe, and other parts of Asia in producing cutting-edge technology products. The West believed that China's technological momentum would be hindered by economic growth or US sanctions. This was a serious misjudgment. There are several main reasons for this. First, there is a deep infrastructure. The success of China's industrial policy is not simply because the top losers have chosen the right industries and subsidized them. The reason it is effective is because the country has built the robust infrastructure necessary to become a technological powerhouse. It has created a strong electricity and digital network. The innovation ecosystem centered around this has established a large workforce with advanced manufacturing knowledge. One could say it is a comprehensive technological strategy. This approach allows China to develop new technologies and scale them up faster than any other country. Its model is unlikely to be derailed by economic slowdowns, legal changes, or even US sanctions. China's industrial and technological strength has now become a permanent feature of the global economy. The United States should compete with China to maintain its overall technological leadership and to sustain the industries necessary for broad-based prosperity and national security. However, US policymakers must recognize that their current strategies, including export controls, tariffs, and aimless industrial policies, are ineffective and may only serve to slow things down at best. China's development approach simply won't work for the United States. Washington must focus on building its own system of industrial strength, not only by making patient, long-term investments in critical sectors, but also by investing in energy, information, and transportation infrastructure. If it doesn't, the US will face further deindustrialization and continue to lose its technological edge. In Germany, the Nürburgring racetrack is famous for its high level of difficulty. This winding, 13-mile-long track weaves through the mountains of western Germany and is nicknamed the Green Hell. In the past, the best-performing cars on this track were designed by well-known German companies like BMW, Porsche, and Benz. However, in June of this year, a new speed record for electric vehicles was set on this track, and the record-breaking car did not come from those typical champion Western companies. It was made by China's Xiaomi. Now, Chinese companies like Xiaomi are known for their affordable smartphones and appliances such as rice cookers. Xiaomi only produced its first car a year ago, but even so, the car it built is now the third fastest ever on the Nürburgring among all cars worldwide. Xiaomi's victory on the track symbolizes China's astonishingly rapid rise in the clean energy sector. By 2024, electric vehicles produced in China account for nearly 75% of the global total and 40% of global electric vehicle exports. China controls the solar supply chain, and Chinese companies manufacture the majority of the world's batteries, including those for electric vehicles and other uses. In addition, China also produces 60% of the electrolyzers used to extract hydrogen from water, which is the most efficient method for producing clean hydrogen energy. The standard Western explanation for China's technological success is that the Chinese government provides targeted support to various industries, offering hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies, tax breaks, and low-interest loans to promote the development of these sectors. However, this is only part of the story. This statement reveals a broader perspective on China's success. It not only subsidizes specific industries, but also invests in deep infrastructure, which is the prerequisite for innovation and efficient production. This infrastructure includes roads, railways, ports, transportation document systems, as well as the world's leading 5G network, and of course, the world's #1 power grid. The abundant power supply has driven the rapid development of power-dependent transportation systems such as high-speed rail and electric vehicles. The second part is industrial labor. China's most sophisticated three-layer strength is actually its industrial labor force of more than 70 million people, the largest in the world. It is lower than China's complex manufacturing and supply chain built with materials. Chinese factory managers, engineers, and workers have several 10 years of process knowledge, has taught them how to manufacture products and refine them. This process knowledge enables iterative innovation, constantly adjusting products to improve efficiency, enhance quality, and reduce costs. It also allows for scale. Chinese factories can muster a vast, experienced workforce to produce virtually any new product. Finally, and most importantly, process knowledge has enabled China to create entirely new industries. Factory workers in Shenzhen can assemble Apple iPhones one year, Huawei Mate phones the next, and then switch to making drones for DJI or electric car batteries for KTL. The process knowledge of China's workforce is China's greatest economic asset, but it's difficult to quantify. This is one of the reasons why other countries in the world have always underestimated China's capabilities. Some analysts think that China assembles most of the world's smartphones and other electronic products mainly because of China's low labor costs. In fact, the reason why China can maintain its world-leading position is that its labor force has proven its unique value in terms of maturity, scale, and speed. Third, entrepreneurial spirit. Analysts also ignore the fiery ambition of Chinese entrepreneurs. China is a country full of optimistic, bold, and even foolish businessmen who try to subvert certain industries. Lei Jun, the legendary founder of Xiaomi, suppressed electric vehicles in 2021 and announced that Xiaomi, which was valued at only $80 billion at the time, would invest $10 billion in electric vehicle projects and called it his last major entrepreneurial project. This was a very bold attempt. Finally, at the Nürburgring in Germany, Lei Jun's move paid off. He integrated into the electronic electronics ecosystem, battery partners, and experienced labor force to create high-speed electric vehicles in just a few years. To understand why American companies often find it difficult to do this, you can compare the experience of Xiaomi and Apple. In 2014, the computer giant Apple considered developing an electric car. This wasn't a crazy idea, considering its $600 billion market capitalization and $40 billion in cash reserves. Its financial resources far surpassed Xiaomi's by traditional standards, and Apple's technology was more advanced. However, without China's energy systems and manufacturing capabilities, Apple couldn't easily leverage this infrastructure to build cars. Consequently, in 2024, Apple's board of directors halted its decade-long electric car development project. That same year, Xiaomi significantly expanded its car manufacturing capabilities and repeatedly raised its delivery targets. The article can be summarized as follows. First, the US Foreign Affairs magazine pointed out the Western misunderstanding that China's economic success stemmed solely from government subsidies. They believed that a left-leaning government would deter Chinese companies from subsidizing them, and vice versa, that American companies would succeed if they also subsidized them. This idea was completely wrong. Second, the true Chinese model, in addition to sophisticated top-level government design, also includes strong infrastructure, abundant talent, and a high degree of entrepreneurial risk-taking, none of which are easily learned in the US. Apple and Tesla are now competing fiercely